Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Janelle Brown, the steady and pragmatic second wife from Sister Wives, has long been seen as the family's quiet backbone, the one who balanced books, held down jobs, and kept the complicated finances of Kody Brown's plural household somewhat tethered to reality. But after years of what fans describe as financial manipulation, hidden bank accounts, secretive land deals, and the suspicion that money flowing into the family's communal accounts somehow always managed to benefit Kody and Robyn more than anyone else, a shocking courtroom twist finally delivered what many believe is long overdue justice. Janelle walked out of a courtroom with a $492,000 judgment in her favor after a judge ruled that Kody had deliberately siphoned off $415,000 of her personal funds without her knowledge or consent, money that was supposed to go toward her retirement, her children's education, and her long-term security, but instead was redirected into a strange and secretive arsenal collection, a sprawling stash of firearms, survivalist gear, and high-value collectibles hidden away in a storage unit that very few in the family even knew existed. And the scandal rocked the Sister Wives world to its core because it painted Kody not just as a husband who played favorites or a father who drifted away from his children, but as a man who weaponized control over money to maintain dominance and who ultimately crossed a line into outright theft that even a court of law could not ignore. The case itself had been simmering for years, ever since Janelle began noticing discrepancies between what she thought she was contributing toward Coyote Pass, family bills, and shared investments, and what was actually happening behind the scenes. While Janelle prided herself on transparency and careful record-keeping, she often clashed with Kody's shifting explanations, his vague reassurances that everything was fine and that the money was being used for the family, even as she watched Robyn's household enjoy upgrades, new purchases, and a lifestyle that seemed insulated from the financial struggles the rest of them experienced. And when Janelle pressed too hard, Kody would lash out, accuse her of being disloyal, or claim she didn't trust him as the head of the family, effectively silencing her concerns. But Janelle, ever the practical one, began quietly documenting her contributions, keeping copies of transfers, bank statements, and receipts. And when Christine finally left and encouraged her to protect herself, Janelle gathered the courage to dig deeper and eventually discovered that not only had her funds been diverted, but that a staggering $415,000 was missing entirely, funds that could not be traced to any family project, land purchase, or household expense, but instead linked back to a shadowy LLC in Kody's name connected to weapons acquisitions, tactical gear purchases, and a hidden insurance policy covering assets in storage, which turned out to be his secret arsenal. When Janelle finally took the matter to court, it wasn't just about the money, it was about years of feeling undermined, treated as secondary, and dismissed despite being one of the primary earners who kept the family afloat while Kody chased dreams and Robyn leaned on the benefits of her position as the legally recognized wife, and the courtroom became a stage where decades of tension spilled out. Kody arguing that it was all for the family's protection, that his collection of weapons was part of a broader survivalist plan to ensure safety in end times or during civil unrest, while Janelle's attorney meticulously laid out bank records, transfers, and testimony that proved Kody had moved her funds without permission, violating both trust and law. The judge, unmoved by Kody's emotional outbursts or his grandiose talk of family defense, ruled decisively in Janelle's favor, awarding her $492,000 to cover not only the stolen funds but also damages, legal fees, and interest, and in a further dramatic twist, ordered the liquidation of Kody's secret arsenal to satisfy the judgment, forcing him to watch as the collection he had spent years building, rifles, handguns, rare antiques, survivalist stockpiles, and even high-end safes, was catalogued, appraised, and scheduled for auction, with the proceeds earmarked directly for Janelle. The fallout within the family was explosive. Christine reportedly cheered Janelle's victory, calling it justice long overdue and reminding fans that she herself had long suspected Kody of prioritizing selfish projects over the well-being of his wives and children, while Mary, though quieter, allegedly reached out to Janelle privately to congratulate her on standing up for herself, a sharp contrast to Robyn, who was said to be distraught, fearing that the exposure of Kody's secret arsenal not only embarrassed them publicly but could bring legal scrutiny or even government intervention if any of the purchases were questionable or improperly registered. Fans flooded social media with commentary, many expressing shock but not surprise, pointing out that Kody had always presented himself as a patriarch driven by ego, control, and image, and this court ruling finally confirmed what many believed, that he had exploited Janelle financially while gaslighting her into silence. For Janelle, the victory wasn't just financial, it was symbolic. She had spent years investing not only her money but her emotional energy into a marriage that consistently undervalued her contributions, and walking away with a nearly $500,000 judgment was a public declaration that her sacrifices mattered, that her voice mattered, and that she wasn't going to quietly fade into the background of Kody and Robyn's narrative. She immediately began planning her next chapter, hinting at reinvesting the money into Tata Farms, her new joint venture with Maddie, and using part of the funds to secure her independence in North Carolina, where she has been spending more time, free from the shadow of Coyote Pass and the dysfunctional Flagstaff chapter of her life. In interviews, she spoke cautiously but firmly, making it clear that while the ruling couldn't undo years of betrayal, it did give her closure and the ability to look forward without financial fear, a freedom she had earned many times over but had long been denied by Kody's control. Meanwhile, Kody's reputation took another devastating hit. Already painted as a husband who lost 3 wives, alienated many of his children, and clung desperately to control through Robyn, he now faced the stigma of being publicly branded as a thief, someone who not only failed to provide but actively stole from the very woman who had shouldered the family's financial burdens for decades. TLC producers were reportedly scrambling, unsure how to spin the story for future seasons, because while the drama guaranteed ratings, it also risked painting the patriarch in an irredeemable light that could overshadow the franchise itself, and yet, some insiders hinted that Kody himself relished the publicity, believing he could reframe the arsenal as proof of his preparedness and that loyal fans would see him as a misunderstood provider rather than a manipulator exposed in court. In the broader cultural conversation, Janelle's victory became emblematic of something larger, women reclaiming power in relationships where financial control had long been used as a weapon, fans and commentators drawing parallels between her case and the experiences of countless women who discover too late that their trust and earnings have been exploited by partners who hide behind authority, charisma, or religious justification, and Janelle's case was held up as proof that accountability, even if delayed, can arrive, and that standing up, documenting, and refusing to be silenced can yield real-world justice. As the news spread, financial experts even began discussing the case in podcasts and blogs, using it as a cautionary tale about transparency in marriage, joint finances, and the importance of protecting one's assets even in communal or faith-driven family structures. But beyond the headlines and hashtags, the emotional weight of the ruling rested squarely on the years Janelle endured, years where she sacrificed personal dreams to help Kody pursue his, where she juggled jobs to keep kids fed and tuition paid, while her own financial independence was siphoned away into a vault of weapons she never even knew existed. And when the auctioneer finally began selling off Kody's prized rifles and survival caches to bidders, it was more than just a transaction, it was the dismantling of an illusion, the forced unraveling of Kody's secret empire, and the transfer of power, literally, financially, symbolically, from a man who clung to control through secrecy to a woman who had earned her autonomy through persistence, honesty, and strength. In that moment, Janelle didn't just win $492,000, she won the right to redefine her story, no longer the overlooked wife in Kody's collapsing kingdom, but the woman who stood up, fought back, and walked away with justice in her hands, leaving Kody to confront not only the empty safes of his arsenal but the empty spaces of his crumbling family life.